The government released 4 high-frequency data and 1 low-frequency data during last 2 days. Various data are suggesting various things about the economy. To get more about these data and to get the nuances of these data, we have with us Rajani Sinha, Chief Economist with CARE. Rajani, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shishir.
Now, my first question is that when we talk about GDP data, the government says that the momentum is there. But when I talk to experts like you, there is a opinion, there are opinions that it has slowed down. What is your take on that?
So if I look at the GDP data, firstly, the important thing to note is that the number here has to look at from the perspective that the last year's number has been revised upwards. So the Q3 FY23 number looks lower than what most market participants were expecting because of the upward revision in last year's number. But nevertheless, if I look at it, comparing with the last year's revised number, what is concerning is the continued contraction in manufacturing sector. It was anticipated, but I would say the contraction is more than what we have, we were expecting. And there's a combination of reasons which is contributing to this lower manufacturing sector growth. One is obviously the global demand has slowed down, which is also getting reflected in the exports data. Secondly, even the domestic demand, we are seeing some fizzling out of the pent-up demand that we had been seeing in the last few months. And even inflation is having a bearing on the manufacturing sector growth.
Okay. Rajni, one thing what we have seen almost 6 revision in GDP number. And it is very difficult to compare what we call as the apple versus apple or apple versus orange. So you rightly mentioned that when we talk about Q3 number, which is the advanced estimate for fiscal year 22-23, and if we take the 21-23, it is the first revised estimate. So comparing the number which are revised estimate and the advanced estimate, very difficult one. What will be your suggestion to the MOSPI as well as to the government to make the data comparable?
See, the whole idea of data being revised is because there is some data which comes with a lag. And hence this revision happens. But at the same time, if the revision is so sharp, it does throw the whole fiscal policy and monetary policy. It becomes very difficult. How do you form a view? How does the government or central bank form a view based on the latest data when there are chances of it being revised upwards or downwards very sharply in the next few months? So this is a big challenge. I don't think there's a simple solution to this. Yes, one way could be that we read more into the high frequency indicators and try to kind of decipher from high frequency indicators also as to which way the economy is moving. But there again, the problem is that for India, we do not have many high frequency indicators, unlike some of the developed economies like US. But yes, the only thing I can think of is then we focus also on what the high frequency indicators are showing.
The GST number is showing 1.49 lakh crore plus for the month of February. Of course, it is a bit lower than the January if we take the sequential number. But if we take the Y-on-Y number, it is 12% higher than the last February. One of the observation of the GST number is that it is not just the consumption, but inflation is contributing more in the collection. Do you agree with this kind of a statement?
So actually, it's a combination of both the things. The inflation is definitely giving a push to the GST number. So this 12% YOY growth number that you spoke about, around 6% would be coming from inflation and 6% would be the actual growth. So, but the point is that even if it's growing by 6% on a YOY basis, it is a good number.
Okay. Now, my final question to you, Rajni, about the growth forecast for this year and the next fiscal. There are various numbers. Of course, government is sticking to 7% for the current fiscal, and then 6 to 6.8%, anything between 6 to 6.8% and 6.5% as the baseline scenario for the next fiscal. There are various observations about 6% for the next fiscal. But one thing which we have got is that this year 7% may not be possible, and even next year 6% will be a challenging one considering the global headwinds which India is facing. What is your assessment?
So what we had estimated was around 6.9% growth for this fiscal. But yes, given the kind of revision that we have seen with the last number, it becomes difficult to say whether, we will be able to get that kind of number, 6.9%. So yes, there are chances that GDP growth could be lower than in FY23, as against the 7% number which the government has said.
Rajni, thank you very much for talking to the Business Line.
Thank you.